A road rage incident on the 401 tonight. We tell you how an altercation between two drivers turned violent in Whitby last night.
And fighting car thieves in the air. Ontario steps up its efforts against auto theft by purchasing new choppers in the Greater Toronto area.
And a great day for Canada in Paris. Toronto's Summer McIntosh swims her way to her first Olympic gold medal. We're going to have local reaction coming up.
This is Live at 5. Good evening. I'm Bakari Savage.
And I'm Lena Latafat. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We begin with the fight against auto thefts and carjackings this hour. The Ford government is now investing tens of millions of dollars to purchase new police helicopters. The goal, cracking down on organized crime and making our streets safer.
CB24's Beatrice Vaisman joins us live with this story. Beatrice.
Bakari and Lena, this was pitched by the provincial government as an initiative to combat auto thefts, specifically carjackings as well, the violent theft of vehicles. But it's no question that these choppers are a really useful tool in police services tool belts. It helps them deal with organized crime. It helps them combat street racing. It helps pursue vehicles that are traveling really quickly on Toronto's highways or roadways. And it helps to find missing vulnerable people as well. The Premier talked about what he's hoping will be accomplished with this new joint air support unit. Listen.
This new fleet of helicopters will be a massive boost for community safety. They'll help keep our highways and roadways safe from violent carjacking, auto thefts, street racing, and impaired drivers. They'll allow for faster and safer pursuits of stolen vehicles and help police locate and catch high-risk suspects.
The cost for these choppers, Bakari and Lena, has certainly ballooned. And how it's going to work, there's 3 police services that are going to be all owning and operating their own choppers. That's Peel, Halton, and Durham. And then the Ontario Provincial Police will own and operate choppers on behalf of the Toronto Police Service and the Ottawa Police Service. This was part of an announcement back in the spring budget. At that point, the Premier and his government announced $36 million to buy these new choppers. They've now added a 5th one that's going to Ottawa. And the reason the cost, the Premier says, has gone up exponentially as well is because these police services have asked to own, not lease or rent these helicopters. And so from Toronto's police chief, I asked him why he's asked the OPP to essentially operate theirs. Well, he says it's because of costs, point blank. It allows them more operating money to be able to have boots on the ground across Toronto to ensure policing at a ground level, Bakari and Lena. As for how police are going to discern when to send the chopper up, here's OPP's Deputy Commissioner, Carrie Dart.
Well, between the agencies, we are going to make sure that the assessment criteria for its use is going to be well in place. That is going to be critical to the decision-making as it relates to the deployed nature of this tool. It is an important tool. You heard a lot today about organized crime, auto theft. The reality is that this investment is going to further support our ability to meet the demands of public safety in all corners.
Peel Regional's Police Chief Nishan Duriappa talked about the fact that there's so much traffic congestion, Bakari Lena. We know it. We experience it every single day. So being up in the air, he says, is going to provide a pivotal tool for his police service as well to get places faster, to help people faster. These new choppers will be in the air come 2026. But Chief Demke is saying Toronto hopefully will start to see some support from the OPP and its choppers coming up in the next few weeks. Back to you.
All right, a significant investment. Beatrice, thanks so much for this. Now to a disturbing road rage incident. Police are searching for the driver after a man was stabbed on the 401 in Whitby.
CB24's Phil Perkins has this investigation. Phil.
Yeah, hey there, guys. Yeah, potentially those helicopters could have played a part in trying to find the suspects involved in this road rage incident last night around 8 p.m. on the 401, in the eastbound 401 around 8 p.m. just between Highway 12 and Brock Road. So police are saying right now this involved 2 vehicles, a green SUV and a gray older Nissan model. It was a hatchback. They say that the groups pulled over onto the shoulder of live traffic in the eastbound 401 and then got out, and there was some kind of fight, some kind of altercation. We do know that one man did suffer stab wounds. We don't know their condition right now, almost 24 hours later, but we do know that police are looking for a 25-year-old man with dreadlocks. He had Nike shorts on, as well as a T-shirt. As for the vehicle, they're particularly looking for the older Nissan hatchback. They say it has rear passenger side window damage, as well as boxing gloves with a Jamaican flag on them that are hanging on the rear view mirror. So here's the OPP in terms of not just what they're looking for, but also telling people it doesn't matter whether you're having a fender bender or not. Just stopping in the middle of the highway in general, even if you have to, is never safe.
And we do have witnesses to the road rage that did occur just prior to both vehicles stopping on the right shoulder. Obviously very dangerous stopping on the highway at any time. We want to encourage the public that if you are in this type of situation to not stop your vehicle, but instead call 911 and contact police, as we don't want this sort of situation occurring again with anyone else.
And again, police are appealing to drivers in the area. Again, it was a packed highway just at the end of the week, and a lot of people are heading home. They're just looking for any more information, particularly dash cam footage, which at this point they don't have. Send it back to you guys.
All right, Phil Perkins live in studio tonight. Thank you, Phil. No Police have charged a man in connection with the disappearance of a Markham woman.
Yeah, Ying Zhang was last seen Thursday morning in the area of Woodbine Avenue and Steelcase Road. Police say 26-year-old Chenglin Yang was seen in the area in a white Ford van at the time of Zhang's disappearance. Yang has been charged with kidnapping, forcible confinement, and aggravated assault.
We also have the information that afternoon, July 25th, this van traveled to the Kawartha Lakes area to Kirkfield, which is a village just east of Lake Simcoe. Anyone that might have been there in the afternoon hours that had seen a van similar to this or had seen a green bin, we're appealing to please contact our investigators.
Well, investigators have released images of this van, which they say was involved in the disappearance of Ying Zhang. It has the Ontario license plate B as in Bravo, Z as in Zulu, 43851. Police say Yang was also in possession of a large green garbage bin. They're asking anyone who saw the van in the village of Lakeville or elsewhere in the Kawartha Lakes area on the afternoon of July 25th to come forward. New York Police has also deployed the K-9 unit, air support, as well as requested the help of OPP to search lakes and forests in the area. Police say it's not clear if Zhang is still alive.
Police are investigating a deadly crash on Highway 400 in Innisfil. The OPP say a pickup truck and motorcycle collided in the northbound lanes of the 400 near Highway 88 shortly before 6 o'clock this morning. The motorcyclist pronounced dead at the scene. The driver of the truck was not injured. It is not yet clear what led to this crash.
And firefighters were called to a parking lot near Wilson and Bathurst early this morning for a school bus on fire. The call came in shortly after 5 o'clock. That's when crews arrived, and they found the bus fully engulfed in flames. The fire was quickly extinguished before it spread to any other vehicles. There were no injuries. It's also not yet known how the bus caught fire.
It is 5:08, 28 degrees. This is Live at 5.
And coming up, a Toronto resident has earned Canada's first gold medal of the Paris 2024 Games. Well, Toronto's Summer McIntosh has won gold in the 400-meter medley, solidifying her status as one of the best swimmers in the entire world at just 17 years old.
Yeah, she's a superstar. And for reaction, let's go live to CP24's Melissa Duggan at the Pan Am Sports Center in Scarborough. Swimmers there must be elated, Melissa. What are you hearing?
You know, what really stood out about Summer's performance today is the longer she was in the pool, the more she grew her lead, just way out ahead of the eventual silver medalist. Of course, she nabbed gold, the first for Canada of these Summer Games, or actually the second after one was grabbed earlier today. But she did grab the first one for Canada in silver on Saturday. That's when she won in another competition. Now, I'm at the Toronto Pan Am Sports Center. Summer has competed here. She has trained here as well. And there's actually a competition going on in the pool today. I've been talking to some young athletes, and they say, yeah, summer is an inspiration for them. Someone else who agrees with that sentiment is Rob Taylor, a coach at the Etobicoke Swim Club. He's also been to the Olympics, competing himself during the Sydney Olympics in the pool. And with all that experience, he says he first saw Summer swim when she was just 8 years old. Even then, he said, he knew that she had something special. Here's what else he had to say.
Really proud of her. I think all Canadians would be. She's a member of the Etobicoke Swim Club growing up, so certainly all of the swimmers here were excited for her. We had her at practices throughout the season, and I think everyone's just really proud of her at this point in time.
Speaking of suits, we'd also like to remind all athletes.
Okay, so Summer got silver on Saturday. She got gold today. She has 2 more individual events coming up at the Olympics that she is definitely considered a favorite for, possibly taking part in the swim relay as well. It looks like she's going to be going home with plenty of hardware. Back to you guys.
Okay, CP24's Melissa Duggan live at the Pan Am Sports Center in Scarborough. Well, Summer McIntosh isn't the only Canadian who made it to the podium today.
That's right. For a look at Canada's other medals on the third day of competition, let's bring in CP24's Andrew Brennan. Hey, Andrew.
Hey, Lena. Hey, Bakari. Now, Bakari, I did mention to you before that as much as we are not a 17-year-old phenom, as much as she is the most decorated Olympian thus far for Team Canada at these games, the first gold medal awarded to Canada was not to Summer McIntosh. It came a few hours earlier to Krista Deguchi of Lethbridge, Alberta, and I was just looking at her bio a couple of minutes ago. She actually defeated today the person that upset her at the 2024 World Championships in judo, and getting some sweet, sweet revenge today. And in dramatic fashion, I will add as well, in the 57-kilogram and underweight category. Now, we had Deguchi that was facing off against Mimi Ha of South Korea. And in the sudden death, after there was no winner in regular time, a penalty, a third penalty for the South Korean ultimately led to Deguchi taking this and ultimately getting Canada's first gold medal of these games. Earlier on today, we also saw Canadian divers Nathan Zomber-Murray and Rylan Weens taking home a bronze medal, the first that Canada's gotten in a diving competition since 2008. This was in the 10-meter synchro dive, and that was also a pretty good show of Canadians' pride there, with a lot of people cheering them on. But there's also the specter of the scandal that's been taking place and really overshadowing a lot of Canadian competitors this Olympic Games, and that's because of what's been happening with the drone spying scandal in Canada Soccer. The latest that we have now is an attempt by Team Canada to potentially have that 6-point deduction that could very well leave them being unable, practically in some cases almost impossible, getting out of the group stage if they don't have these 6 points be reversed. They're asking the Olympic Committee for an immediate decision by Wednesday so that they know if at all they'll be able to defend their gold medal. This, of course, the women's soccer team for Team Canada. We did hear from some former Olympians in Team Canada members earlier on today, and this is what they were saying.
I'll be honest with you. I think the players are trying to prove that it's all about them and it's all about playing on the field. I don't think you have there's no formulaic way to play the game. I think once you get on the field, it's all about the players, and the players are proving that they deserve to be there. They're not cheaters, and it's unfortunate that they've been in this situation that they're in. It has nothing to do with them, and I'm so proud. That game yesterday, probably one of the best games I've seen Canada play.
Now, in all, Canada's 5 medals thus far, putting them at 9th place by overall medal total, and if you want to go by gold medals, 8th. Back to you both.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Andrew. It's 5:15, 28 degrees, feeling like 33 outside. This is Live at 5.
Fines for more than 100 parking offenses in Toronto set to increase this week. Drivers aren't going to love this. We'll walk you through the changes next. Welcome back. Fines for more than 100 parking offenses are set to increase. That's happening on Thursday. The city says the increase will help curb illegal parking, stopping and standing in designated areas. The fine for parking without paying at a meter, that's increasing from $30 to $50. Parking on a bike path is going from $60 to $200, while parking a non-electric vehicle in an EV parking spot, that'll cost you $75. The fine increases were approved by City Council back in April. And staying in the city, Spadina is getting a dedicated bus lane this week. It's an effort to reduce travel times for commuters on the 510 replacement bus. The TTC says travel times on Spadina have tripled since streetcars were taken out of service last month. The dedicated bus lane will be added on southbound Spadina Avenue between Richmond Street and Lakeshore Boulevard. The TTC says buses will no longer divert during the afternoon rush. According to city staff, the bus lane will cost about $240,000, roughly $79,000 to add and later remove the lane, and $162,000 in lost parking revenue. The provincial government has announced it will be increasing access to free menstrual products in schools now. Ontario's Minister of Education announced the deal with Shoppers Drug Mart, which will provide more than 23 million free menstrual products to students over the next 3 years. Shoppers will also be provided more than 1,300 dispensers in the first year of the deal to help with the delivery of these health products in the classroom.
We too will blaze a trail for girls and women and continue to break the stigma by talking freely about this issue, because we know missing out on the full school experience can really affect a student's social and emotional well-being. It's a cycle of disadvantage that perpetuates itself as each missed day turns into a missed opportunity, widening the gap between these students and their peers. With this initiative, we're changing that so that they can reach their full potential and every student can realize their dreams.
And Shoppers Drug Mart has provided 20 million free menstrual pads to Ontario schools since 2021. Well, the province says it's making more money available as part of a program aimed at addressing Ontario's labour shortage. The Ford government says it'll be providing an additional $260 million through the Skills Development Fund. It's meant to train workers to begin careers in manufacturing, construction and technology. This is the fifth round of funding that's being released through the program. The province says the fund has helped almost 600,000 workers prepare for jobs in in-demand sectors since it was launched in 2021.
And officials say that progress is being made in the fight against wildfires burning in Alberta's Jasper National Park. Parks Canada says crews are working on several fronts to contain the fires. Canadian Armed Forces personnel, they've been tackling spot fires on the northwest side of the town of Jasper, and efforts to set up a sprinkler line are nearly complete. Parks Canada estimates about 30% of buildings in Jasper were damaged by the flames. There's no word when the 20,000 people who were forced to flee the Rocky Mountains community will be allowed to return. And Terry Lonsberry, an evacuee from Jasper, talks about the devastating effects caused by the wildfire.
I'm from Jasper. The home that was destroyed, it was a family affair. We built it 43 years ago. It was the last home my grandfather built. It's the only home I've ever known. I was raised there.
And Kathy Tomas, a coordinator for Hinton and District Animal Care Center, speaks about ongoing efforts to help rescue missing pets in Jasper.
The first night of the fire, when the evacuation was happening, we got a call from Jasper Bylaw. And Jasper Bylaw said, we have 1 dog and 3 cats, as well as a lovebird, and we need to bring them in to you. Can you help us? And we said, absolutely. And as a result, that began our coordination together. And we set up a spreadsheet so people could call Jasper Bylaw and report their animal missing, where to find it. And we're working together with them.
And authorities in BC have expanded an evacuation order for the village of Slocan as wildfires move through the southeastern part of the province. Nearly 870 properties are covered by the order. Officials say that wildfires on both sides of the community are growing.
The federal government is setting up a task force to monitor elections for signs of foreign interference now.
And Canada's public safety minister says that the group will watch all general elections and federal by-elections for meddling. That includes the 2 by-elections set for September in Quebec and Manitoba. It will be known as the Security and Intelligence Threats to Elections Task Force, or SITE. It'll provide assessments to a committee of deputy ministers who will then advise the ministers responsible.
Multiple telecommunication lines across France have been vandalized. Several French telecom operators were affected, but it appears the impact on customers was minimal. The vandalism comes after arsonists targeted train networks around France on Friday, hours before the Olympics opening ceremony. French authorities aren't sure if the 2 incidents are related.
And 2 children are dead after a mass stabbing in northwestern England. And police say that the attack happened at a community center in the town near Liverpool. It was holding a Taylor Swift-themed dance and yoga event for primary school-aged kids. 11 others were wounded. Investigators say a 17-year-old boy was arrested and a knife was seized. Investigators previously said that they were not treating the incident as terrorism-related. Britain's prime minister is calling the attack horrendous and deeply shocking.
It is 5:23, 28 degrees. You're watching Toronto's breaking news, CP24, right here on Live at 5.
And coming up, a blind dog that was brought to an animal shelter in the Kitchener-Waterloo region in rough shape found a new home. A new poll suggests that Canadians are using artificial intelligence to better track their finances.
Yeah, 55% of Gen Zers or Gen Zers said they use AI to help manage their finances and investments more than any other generation. The poll conducted by BMO shows people are using AI to learn about financial topics, create or update household budgets, and identify new investment strategies. The survey also showed more than 2/3 believe AI can't understand how emotions influence financial planning.
A blind dog that was brought to an Ontario animal shelter in rough shape has found a new home.
The Kitchener-Waterloo Humane Society says Honey was found caked in mud and wandering around Stratford earlier this month. She was suffering from glaucoma and had to undergo surgery. A local groomer also donated her services to give the 3-year-old Pooch a makeover. The Humane Society confirms Honey has been adopted and will now have 2 other dogs to play with.
It's 5:27, 28 degrees. This is Live at 5.
A great day for Canada and Paris. Toronto's Summer McIntosh swims her way to her first Olympic gold medal. We're going to have local reaction coming up. Stay with us.
A road rage incident on the 401 tonight. We're going to tell you how an altercation between 2 drivers turned violent in Whitby.
And fighting car thieves in the air. Ontario steps up its efforts against auto thefts by purchasing new choppers in the Greater Toronto area. We'll tell you more about that.
And a great day for Canada in Paris. Toronto's Summer McIntosh swims her way to her first Olympic gold medal. We're going to have local reaction coming up.
This is Live at 5. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Lena Latafat.
Not Bakari Savage. Toronto's Summer McIntosh has won gold in the 400-meter medley, solidifying her status as one of the best swimmers in the entire world at just 17 years old. And it makes you think, what was I doing at 17?
I know. I don't even want to answer that. For reaction, let's go live to CP24's Melissa Duggan at the Pan Am Sports Center in Scarborough. I'm sure there are some 17-year-olds where you are, Melissa, and they're feeling pretty inspired.
Oh, yeah. And you say 17, too. Think back to when Summer was 14 years old. That's when she took part in her first Olympic Games. Did not medal then. She came into this round of the Olympics a very decorated athlete, considered a generational swimmer. She had a lot of hardware to her name, but no Olympic medals until now. On Saturday, she picked up silver. Today, it was gold. So I'm hanging out at this wall, which features photos of Olympians and Paralympians who've swam at this pool in Scarborough. I've got a special photo to show you a little bit later on. But I want to talk about just the interest that having swimmers like Summer, who is from Toronto, just medal and perform so well at the Olympics. You do see a bump in interest in pools after performances like that. At least that's what the director of marketing for Swimming Canada is telling me. Here's more.
Huge. She's been swimming fantastic races for so long now, and now she's getting it on the Olympic stage. Just to be able for everyone to see that, I think is great. And we see huge spikes in registration after Olympic Games, so we're expecting a big one this fall.
The bump, he says, they usually see is about 8 to 9%. So a measurable increase that they do see after a Summer Olympics. Okay, I teased that I got a photo for you to see. Here it is, Summer McIntosh already on the wall. They do have an update saying 2024 Paris silver medalist for the 400 freestyle. But me, without a Post-it note or a Sharpie, I can't add that new addition on there. But certainly another accomplishment that will be added to the wall very soon for Summer McIntosh. And probably some more. She's going to be competing in 2 more individual events, expected to be a strong competitor in both and likely in relay swimming as well. So really, it's just getting started for Summer McIntosh at the Olympics. Day 3, she already has 2 medals, guys.
Oh, I love that they put that on a Post-it note. And as you said, Melissa, this is really just the beginning for Summer McIntosh. What a superstar, and just 17 years old. My goodness. Well, Summer McIntosh isn't the only Canadian who made it to the podium today.
Yeah, if we look at Canada's other medals on the 3rd day of competition, we turn to CP24's Andrew Brennan, who is keeping tally of everything. So what are we at, Andrew?
We are at 5. We are at 5 medals. No, but actually, if you want to feel slightly less old, Bakari, Lena, how about this? The first gold medal for Team Canada this year was awarded to a 28-year-old. That does sound a little bit better than 17, doesn't it? Krista Deguchi is the world #1 in her weight category in judo, and she took gold today, taking down Mimi Ha of South Korea, who actually had beaten Deguchi at the World Championships this year. So a bit of sweet revenge for the Canadian today. But that wasn't the first medal that Canada got today. Our haul on day 3 is, as of now, 3 medals. And the first one was a bronze in the synchronized 10-meter dive category. We had Nathan Zomber-Murray and Ryland Weens taking home Canada's first medal in a diving category since 2008. It's been almost 20 years since we've been on the podium there, so some good news there. However, all of this good news for Team Canada is one thing, but what's really become Canada has become known for in these games, unfortunately, is questions about cheating and the scandal surrounding the drone spying on New Zealand and potentially others. Now, Canada has asked for relief after FIFA and the Olympic Committee announced sanctions against them, including a 6-point deficit that they have to overcome, even to try to attempt to challenge the group stage and get to defend their gold medal at these games. It's next to impossible unless they win all of their matches in the group stage. The Olympic Committee is being asked whether or not they can have an answer by Wednesday to potentially find out if Canada will be able to get past the group stage. That's something that's being looked at right now. We did hear from some former Team Canada Olympians and soccer players. Here's what they were telling us.
I thought sanctions were fair. I think it's important to remember that 2 things can be true. We can be devastated on the part of the players and really disgusted by the actions of the coaches, but we can also be objective about the principles of fair play and that there have to be consequences to prevent this sort of behavior in the future and prevent further infractions. 6 points was excessive, in my opinion. I think 3 points would have made that point. But I think they're in a really good position now. I mean, Colombia's not a team to take lightly, but they are in a good position to advance with a win coming up later this week.
Now, Canada is not asking for relief on any of the other sanctions, which includes the 1-year suspension for head coach Bev Priestman. Back to you both.
All right, Andrew, thanks so much for this. It is 5:35, 28 degrees. You're watching Live at 5.
Police make an arrest in the case of a missing Markham woman, but they haven't found her yet. The latest on the investigation after the break. This just in to CP24. One person has been injured in a shooting in Mississauga.
It happened just before 4:30 this afternoon in the area of Hurontario and Glen Hawthorne Boulevard. That is near Eglinton. Here's a tweet that's coming in from Peel Regional Police. We'll walk you through the latest. Police say the victim currently being rushed to hospital with serious injuries. Few other details are known at this time. Stay with CP24 for more on this developing story.
Well, police have charged a man in connection with the disappearance of a Markham woman.
Ying Zheng was last seen on Thursday morning in the area of Woodbine Avenue and Steel Case Road. Police say 26-year-old Changlin Yang was seen in the area in a white Ford van at the time of Zheng's disappearance and is believed to have traveled to the village of Kirkfield, northeast of Peterborough. That afternoon, Yang has been charged with kidnapping, forcible confinement, and aggravated assault.
Investigators don't know whether Ms. Zhang is alive or if she's deceased. There is indication from the scene that she was a victim of an assault, and we are concerned for her well-being. If she has not received medical treatment, there could be serious consequences.
Investigators have released images of this van, which they say was involved in the disappearance of Zheng. It has Ontario license plate of Bravo Zulu 43851. And police say that Yang was also in possession of a large green garbage bin. They're asking anyone who saw the van in the village of Lakeville or elsewhere in the Kawartha Lakes on the afternoon of July 25th to come forward. New York police, they also deployed the K-9 unit, air support, and requested the help of OPP to search lakes and forests in the area.
Well, now to a disturbing road rage incident. Police are searching for a driver after a man was stabbed on the 401 in Whitby. It happened last night.
CP24's Phil Perkins is working on this investigation and has his update. Phil.
Yeah, Bakari and Leah, trying to get an update on the victim here. They did get stabbed. That is confirmed with the OPP. This happened yesterday around 8 p.m. on the 401, on the eastbound 401, on the shoulder of the eastbound lanes there. So live traffic, which on its own, it's already very dangerous. But they said this happened between Highway 12 and Brock Road. They say that there was some kind of altercation between two people. And as I mentioned, the man was sent to hospital with stab wounds. At this point, unclear what their current condition is right now, more than 24 hours after that. Now, they're looking for two vehicles. One is a green SUV. The other is an older model silver Nissan hatchback, and they say that that is the vehicle of interest. They say that there could be some damage on the passenger side rear window. It also had a Jamaican flag themed boxing gloves, those small ones that tied just on the back of the rear window. So they're looking for that vehicle. They're also looking for a man around 25 years old with dreadlocks, wearing Nike shorts and a T-shirt. Here's what else OPP had to say.
We do have some people that did witness this, and therefore we are looking for more. It was obviously daylight, very busy time on the 401 in that area. So we are hoping that more people will come forward and provide some assistance to help solve this assault.
And the OPP also say that, in an event that you are in a fender bender or in a crash and you have to pull over to the side of the highway, that on its own is already very unsafe. But they say the next step should then be to call 911 and not put matters in your own hands. So again, they're looking for that 25-year-old man and also that older gray Nissan hatchback. Back to you guys.
Okay, CP24's Phil Perkins. Thanks a lot.
No problem.
Auto thefts, carjackings, organized crime, police services. They've been struggling to take on these crimes, but now the Ford government is investing tens of millions of dollars to purchase new helicopters.
Yeah, the hope that's going to make our community safer. CP24's Beatrice Faisman joins us live with those details. Beatrice.
Leland Bakari, it's $134 million that the Ford government is investing to buy these 5 helicopters for these different police services across the GTHA and beyond, all the way to Ottawa. This is, something that we've seen, the fruits of just how important these choppers can be in the arsenal of various police services. For example, we see York Regional Police often doing a good job of showing the kind of crimes that their chopper tends to thwart. For example, an York officer in a chopper following a vehicle that was going some 200 kilometers per hour recently. And so these choppers are good in terms of finding, identifying, helping arrest people involved in organized crime. They help find people, vulnerable, missing people who have maybe wandered into the woods. Searching from the air can often be a lot more fruitful and easier than searching on the ground. And it also helps with officer safety. If there's a volatile situation, well, officers in the air can actually observe it from a safe distance, as opposed to being boots on the ground directly near someone who could be armed or barricaded inside somewhere. So that's just an example of how these choppers are effective, according to these various police chiefs that I've been talking to. The Ford government purchasing 5 new choppers. 3 of them will be owned and operated by the police services specifically. So Halton, Peel, and Durham Durham will own and operate their own. The OPP will own and operate two choppers on behalf of the Toronto Police Service and the Ottawa Police Service, providing support to both of those jurisdictions. The reason being, when I asked Myron Demke why, he says it's all about the money. He feels as though he can, better use the operating budget to have boots on the ground here in Toronto with uniform officers specifically. Here's what we heard earlier from Peel Region's chief, along with Chief Myron Demke.
You think about the nature of some of the behavior we've been dealing with after carjackings and some of the car chases or some of the very aggressive criminal driving that the suspects have perpetrated. This is an essential element for us to ensure we can respond operationally in a safe way.
Just challenge you to drive through Mississauga or Brampton on a midday. It's very difficult for our officers to get places. So the aircraft, and it's been shown time and time again, anywhere it's employed, and there are municipalities already using it in Ontario as well as the OPP, the value is so tremendous, gets there quicker, increases our response times, also mitigates some of the risks that right now officers have to do on their own in terms of pursuing individuals, nighttime, daytime. It's exponential, really, in terms of that value.
The cost of this program has ballooned exponentially as well, Lena and Bakari. Back in the spring when the provincial government announced it, it was $36 million. It's now $134 million. Why? The addition of one more chopper to help support Ottawa. Plus, the Premier saying the police service has asked him to buy these choppers outright instead of leasing or renting them. As for when they'll be in the sky, these new choppers will be in the air expected in 2026, though Chief Myron Demke says he hopes in the next few weeks Toronto can start getting some extra support from the OPP and have one of their choppers out helping patrols and thwart crimes here in Toronto with the help of Eyes in the Sky. Back to you.
All right, Beatrice Faisman reporting live. Thanks, Bea. Police are investigating a deadly crash on Highway 400 in Innisfil.
Yeah, the OPP say that a pickup truck and motorcycle collided in the northbound lanes of the 400 near Highway 88 shortly before 6 o'clock this morning. The motorcyclist was pronounced dead at the scene. The driver of the truck was not hurt, but it's still not clear what led to the crash.
Firefighters were called to a parking lot near Wilson and Bathurst early this morning. This was for a school bus on fire. The call came in shortly after 5 a.m. and when crews arrived, they found the bus fully engulfed in flames. The fire quickly extinguished before it spread to any other vehicles. No reported injuries to tell you about. It's not yet known how the bus caught fire.
Right now it's 5:46, 28 degrees, but it feels like 33 outside. This is Live at 5.
Coming up, the latest on the effort to reduce travel times on a really busy stretch of Spadina. We'll tell you more. Stay with us. Well, fines for more than 100 parking offenses, they're set to increase on Thursday.
Yeah, the city says that the increase is going to help curb illegal parking, stopping, and standing in designated areas as well. So the fine for parking without paying at a meter, that's going up from $30 to $50. Parking on a bike path will now change from $60 to $200, while parking a non-electric vehicle and an EV parking spot, that'll be $75. The fine increases were approved by City Council in April.
And Spadina is getting a dedicated bus lane this week. It's an effort to reduce travel times for commuters on the 510 replacement buses. The TTC says travel times on Spadina have tripled since streetcars were taken out of service last month. The dedicated bus lane will be added on southbound Spadina Avenue between Richmond Street and Lakeshore Boulevard. The TTC says buses will no longer divert during the afternoon rush.
The provincial government has announced that it'll be increasing access to free menstrual products in schools.
Ontario's Minister of Education announced the deal with Shoppers Drug Mart, which will provide more than 23 million free menstrual products to students over the next 3 years. They're essentially extending a deal they signed on 2 years ago. Shoppers will also be providing more than 1,300 dispensers in the first year of the deal to help with the delivery of these health products in schools.
Not a single one of these investments will have the impact we hope if students are facing barriers just being in class. That's why 3 years ago, our government launched the Menstrual Equity Initiative to provide free access to menstrual products in schools, all because students themselves told us a lack of access to these products meant that they were missing classes. They were also missing out on school supports and missing out on those important other extracurricular activities. They're such an essential part of our day-to-day school life.
Shoppers Drug Mart has provided 20 million free menstrual pads to Ontario schools since 2021.
It is 5:51, 28 degrees. This is Live at 5.
Can airlines in this country do better? Canada's Competition Watchdog launches a study that looks at growing concerns around airline prices and quality. We'll hear from an expert next. Canada's Competition Bureau is launching a study focused on growing concerns around airline prices and quality.
The Bureau says the study will focus on the state of competition between carriers, barriers to entry and growth in the market, as well as obstacles for travelers looking to make informed choices. And the Competition Bureau's final report is expected to be released in June 2025. So for a closer look at this, we're joined live by Gabor Lukacs, president of Air Passenger Rights. Good to be with you, Gabor. Thank you for joining us. Look, it's no secret that Canadians are frustrated with their airline. Some feel as if the prices are going up and the quality is plummeting. What do you think the study is actually going to accomplish?
I certainly have the greatest respect for the Competition Bureau. At the same time, I have some concerns when I'm looking at the terms of reference that perhaps it doesn't go far enough. I feel that also some airport governance issues should be looked at, and they cannot be looked. You cannot talk about competition within the airline sector in a manner that is divorced from the airports, which is the main facility being used. I don't necessarily want to get into airport ownership issues, but airport governance is an important aspect that should be addressed. Another issue that is sorely missing, and I hope perhaps it will come out in the process, is the lack of available statistical data in Canada. When you look across the border in the U.S., there's a treasure trove of statistics on airline operations within the U.S. and every route, how many passengers they transport, what type of fares they have. Very, very detailed, nuanced data that can be used by economists, by researchers to do research. None of that is available in Canada. Another concern I'm looking at in terms of term of reference is specific reference to one airline, Port Airlines, which makes one wonder whether the intent is somehow to help one airline as opposed to help Canadian consumers. I'm not saying it is going to happen. It is just that perhaps those terms of reference should have been drafted a bit more carefully. What I expect the intent is eventually for governments to use whatever report is coming out as a justification for making some changes. One change that I believe would be very important to do is to open up Canada's domestic market for more international carriers who are already flying to Canada. It's also called cabotage, to allow them to also transport passengers within Canada. I hope and expect that issue is going to be addressed somehow in this study. And perhaps what is needed from a government's perspective is to get the kind of political support backing for a major policy change, which is long overdue in Canada, to break up the Air Canada wedge duopoly.
Gabor, talk about the challenge in terms of, I guess, upgrading airline quality when you don't have really a lot of competition.
Well, obviously, if you have insufficient or inadequate competition, then the odds are that the two airlines will more try to compete in terms of race to the bottom, who can offer the least service for the same price, as opposed to improving services. But let's also understand that just by having more competitors, it will not automatically improve the quality of service. It may improve prices, lower prices somewhat, but for quality of service, what is needed is clear and enforced regulations that protect consumers, which all players, all competitors have to abide by, which are being enforced against our competitors equally. That is not the situation currently in Canada. So perhaps Canadians may get disappointed if they are hoping to also get better service. The best outcome I could see, the ideal outcome from this study and some policy change that ensues from this, is perhaps somewhat lower prices. But for changing quality of service, Canadians need to go to their MPs and tell them, we want more passenger protection, we want more government regulation, not about how the airlines operate, but rather about standards of treatment, standards of service, which the government is currently not enforcing, even though they may exist in the law books. And then what exists in the law books is nowhere near the European Union's gold standard.
And that passenger feedback obviously means so much to airlines. And on that note, we know that the number of passenger complaints lodged with the country's transport regulator has now reached a new high, topping about 72,000. Gabor, what do you think that says about how people are feeling about travel in this country?
Well, how people feel is less of a concern. The greater concern is that the regulator is dysfunctional. People could feel very bad or very good, but we need to have a regulatory regime which is enforceable, which works properly, and we need to have a regulator and a government which is willing to enforce the laws as written. We don't have any of those. Their passenger protection regulations are fundamentally flawed. We have seen it. That's why we have so many complaints. And we have such a backlog because they're so unreasonably complicated that it takes an enormous amount of time to decide each individual complaint, while in Europe it just takes a couple of minutes.
Gabor Lukacs, president of Air Passenger Rights, thanks so much for your perspective tonight. Really appreciate this.
All right, thanks, Gabor. This is Toronto's Breaking News, CP24.
Thank you for watching. CTV News at 6 is coming up next.